May I have your attention, please?
You need passion. You need desire. You need one. We play with that passion. We play together. We play for each other. And we play to win. We are Notre Dame.
Yes, believe it or not, it's time for our Notre Dame slot once again, and it's my great pleasure to welcome back to the programme after a lengthy absence, Len Clark. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you, Declan. 8 months, and when I hear your voice, I know it's time for football season. But, hey, I want to get some stock in that Tipperary water, especially after what Tip did to Kilkenny today.
Yeah, well, I haven't actually told the listeners the final score, so do you want to tell them the final score, or will I tell them the final score?
No, I'm going to leave that to you.
Okay. We have a final score from the All-Ireland Hurling Final, and despite it being level on a number of occasions in the first half, Tipperary have run out winners by a margin of 14 points, 3 goals, which is 9 points if you convert it into a legal tender, and 3 goals and 25 points for Tipperary, which is a total of 34 points to Kilkenny's 20 points. So a colossal margin of victory, which I don't think anybody could have anticipated before the ball was thrown in. But it's a funny old game, hurling. You never know what you're going to get.
The game of the gods, and I followed it here in the United States, waiting for your phone call. So I hope I didn't give anything away on.
Oh no! We take an interest in the game, certainly, and we long for the day that Dublin are on the big stage playing that sport and vying for a Liam McCarthy Cup. It's only 81 years since we won our last one, Len.
And I know that All-Ireland football final is coming up just about, I think, the day before the kickoff of the Notre Dame football season in 2019.
And that's a nice segue. And that's a nice segue if I heard one, Len.
That's right. So Notre Dame opens up the 2019 football season on the road Labor Day Monday, September 2nd. It's going to be at Louisville, and it's the first time that Notre Dame has ever ventured into the Commonwealth of Kentucky to play a football game.
Have Louisville ever played in Indiana?
Yes, they have. Back in the 2015 season, Louisville came into Notre Dame Stadium on a cold, wintry, snowy day, and they walked out with a victory. So a little vengeance on the mind of the Fighting Irish. A lot of optimism, Declan, going into the 2019 season. As you well know, last season Notre Dame ran the table 12-0 before losing in the college football playoff game to Clemson, the eventual national champion. A lot of optimism, but this is not the same Notre Dame team as last year. Ian Book is coming back as the quarterback, but they lost a lot. But we also see a lot of positives on this ball club, so it's going to be an interesting season. If I have to say what the final season record would be right now, I'm leaning at 9-3.
Okay, which might get you into the business end of the competition?
It will. It'll get you into a nice payoff as far as a bowl game, but everybody is always hoping for a perfect season. But with the competition in college football, and as I said, Notre Dame lost a lot last year. So let's just talk about the players that they lost from last year.
Okay.
Drafted in the NFL draft. Wide receivers Miles Boykin, running back Dexter Williams, defensive lineman Jerry Tillery, linebackers Tavon Coney and Drew Tranquil, defensive back All-American Julian Love. You also lose your all-time leading scorer and place kicker Justin Yoon. And you lose your punter Tyler Newsome, who is now in the NFL as a free agent. So that is a lot of individuals to lose. But the good thing is Notre Dame has had a great recruiting class, a lot of young players, but some players getting an opportunity to play right now that will contribute. And it will be very interesting to see. The captains were named last week, unprecedented, only for the second time in Notre Dame history. 7 captains. They're Ian Book, the quarterback, safety Jalen Elliott, defensive end Julian Aquara, along with his teammate Khalid Kareem on the defensive end, offensive lineman Robert Hainsey, and then safety Elodie Gilman, and wide receiver Chris Spade. So leadership, not an issue now with 7 of those captains on the team this year. But Notre Dame has lost a lot early on in terms of injuries, and that might play a role in that opening game against Louisville.
Now, how many players have got hurt in the preseason preparations?
Well, the first of the big one is tight end Cole Kmet. He was the number 1 tight end coming into the season. He broke his collarbone when safety Elodie Gilman fell on him. He's going to be out for up to 10 weeks. That could mean the first 2 football games of the season he will miss. Freshman offensive lineman Quinn Carroll is out for the season with a torn ACL in his right knee. Running back Jameer Smith broke his hand in practice, but he is in a cast and he is practicing. Wide receiver Kevin Austin is practicing, but he will not start the season due to university-imposed sanctions. And then defensive back Dante Vaughn is fighting a quad injury. And then yesterday in the practice, wide receiver Michael Young was hurt and escorted off the field. And then another injury, safety Paul Mawala had thumb surgery to repair a tendon, but he is expected to be back on the field this week. And so the players are tired of beating each other up. We've got 15 days until the season opener, and that's the big question for this Notre Dame team right now, is to stay healthy. If they do, then it could be a very good opening game for the Fighting Irish.
Now, of course, they're going to be coming over to these shores in about 12 months' time. So that'll be something to look forward to, and we'll be probably doing a bit of a countdown on that going forward. Now, you mentioned to me when we were setting up our first programme for the current year that there were a number of players that transferred either into or out of Notre Dame from other colleges. Did any experienced talent come into the team that hadn't been in the university last year?
Well, the ones that are coming into the program are true freshmen. And one of the ones that we talked about last year, we talked to his father on the program, J.D. Bertram, coming out of the Atlanta area in Georgia. He's a true freshman, and Declan, his father, played rugby at Blackrock, and he is built like a rugby player. And look for him to get some considerable moments, minutes, and games in the upcoming season. He has all the tools, and as we talked about, he is really the future of this Notre Dame program, along with the other incoming freshmen. Well, only one player is transferred out of Notre Dame, and that was in the past couple of weeks, where a defensive back is transferred out. And that's really because of a freshman that has come in, once again, from the state of Georgia. Kyle Hamilton, as a defensive back, has 7 interceptions in preseason practice. And we haven't seen a defensive back like him since Luther Bradley back in the 1970s. And so a lot of optimism, and I'll use that word again, on the defense, which seems to be the strength right now for the Fighting Irish, although the offense, the big question right now is a new offensive line, because they lost Sam Mustafer, I should say, another player that left. He wasn't drafted in the NFL draft, but was a free agent, but he was the starting center. And so it's a new cohesive unit coming in for the Fighting Irish offensive line, protecting Ian Book. But we had a chance to talk to Jafar Armstrong, and we asked him about his running style. And he says it's always nice to run behind some big guys on the defensive line. But another thing to watch, Declan, is the special teams, the place kicker and the punter. As we said, Justin Yoon and Tyler Newsom were no longer there, but Jonathan Dorr is in a heated battle with a preferred walk-on, Harrison Leonard, and right now he has the upper leg, if you will, to take over that position. And then a true freshman, Jay Bramlett, has come in, ironically out of the state of Alabama, which is one of the best programs in all of college football, the University of Alabama. And Notre Dame went into his territory and recruited him out, and he's only a freshman, but he looks very good. He has all the tools to become one of the best punters in Notre Dame history, but he just hasn't had that game experience yet. And as you well know, it's the game experience that really pays the dividends.
Yeah, it's the ability to get that distance that when you need to, when the pressure's on, that only being there and being involved in the big games can actually give you.
Exactly, and as we said, a lot of optimism. Once again, using that word, this is Brian Kelly's 10th year, and it's going to be a very good football team. Now, they do have 2 teams on their schedule that are ranked currently in the top 10 in college football, the University of Michigan and Georgia. And Georgia is the 3rd game of the season for the Fighting Irish. They will go down to Athens, Georgia for that 3rd game of the season. So the travel schedule is not as bad this year as it was last year. But some of the teams that they're playing early on, it could be a make-or-break type of a season. You've got Georgia, that 3rd game. You start the season off on the road with Louisville. The first home game is against New Mexico, a first-time opponent. And it's those first 3 games will say a lot about this ball club. Hopefully they can stay healthy, but that will set the tone for the football games that will be held in October and November.
Now, are Notre Dame due to play Navy this year, and if so, is it in North Bend?
It is in South Bend.
South Bend, sorry, yeah.
They play Navy every year. And that's an interesting story, because if it wasn't for the United States Navy during World War II, Notre Dame would have went out of business.
Yeah.
The Navy instituted a V-12 training program for officers, and that kept the doors at Notre Dame open during the war years. And Father Hesburgh longtime president of the University of Notre Dame, whose goal in life was to be a Navy chaplain, ended up being a university president for 35 years, said, as long as Notre Dame will have us, we will have them on our schedule. And Declan, that is my favorite game of the year.
Yeah.
Just the pageantry, the individuals who are going pro for our country from the United States Naval Academy. And as you said, in just about a year, Navy and Notre Dame are going to be over in Dublin fighting it out at Aviva Stadium. If it's anything like it was back in 2012, it's going to be a magnificent time in the capital city of Dublin. And for all the listeners of On the Ball who are following the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, well, we're certainly looking forward to it already, and it's going to be a fantastic occasion. And it's great that bond between those two august institutions, Notre Dame University and the Naval Academy, has survived down through the years. And it's it's great to hear that Navy had done that favour for Notre Dame back in the war years, and they're both stronger because of it.
And at one time, there was some talk about discontinuing the series because it was so one-lopsided that Notre Dame had reeled off a series of 48 victories. But then in the late 2000s, Navy started to win. And it is the most grueling physical game that Notre Dame plays. So actually, it's a blessing for Notre Dame to open the season against Navy because they run that triple option, which not a lot of teams in college football run. The blocking style of the Navy players usually can cause serious injury because they go low, and a lot of ankle injuries. But it's the Naval Academy. These are individuals who are fighting for our country. And when Notre Dame ends the football game, they walk knowing that they've been in a fight for 60 minutes, and it's just grueling physically and emotionally. And it's a game that the players really don't want to play because Navy is very physical.
Now, are there any exhibition games before the real stuff starts, like you have in the NFL, like you have in other equivalent leagues around the world, or is it just straight down to business for the Notre Dame guys?
Straight down to business. The only exhibition, if you will, is the spring game that they played last spring called the Blue Gold game.
Yeah.
But currently they're scrimmaging against themselves. It's the number one against the number two teams on Notre Dame, where the number two teams will emulate the opposition's offensive defense.
Right. Yeah.
But it's down to business, and you really can't afford to have exhibitions because, one, they're college students. They're going to be starting school in about a week, and so that's a whole different mindset. But the big thing in college football right now is you need to keep the players healthy. Right now, Notre Dame is practicing. As you can see, when we saw practice yesterday, you saw a couple of players leave because of injuries, and right now, with 15 days before the start of the season, that's the last thing that you want to happen.
Sure.
Because you have to throw out your whole playbook. And, Ian Book is coming back, and that's been a big concern, is the number two quarterback. When we talked, Declan, last spring, the number two quarterback was Phil Jakovic, and he did not have a good spring. But we've seen a lot of progress over the summer. Right now, he is the number two quarterback, but they brought in a freshman quarterback out of Virginia, Brendan Clark, no relation, and he can get the job done as well. So in case anything happens to Ian Book, it looks like Notre Dame will be in a position to have somebody to come in to replace an Ian Book in case of an injury and run the offense the way that offensive coordinator Chip Long would like to see it run.
Now, does Brendan Clark have any Irish roots?
I haven't had a chance to talk to him because we really don't have that much access to the players, especially the younger players. They'll bring out the captain. So we did see the scrimmage yesterday. It's only the fourth time that the media's had a chance to see the Notre Dame team scrimmage. They did scrimmage in the stadium, and it was a chance for the faculty and the season ticket holders to see the team practice for about 2 hours. But media day is on Wednesday. I doubt if we'll have access to the younger players, but we'll have access to the coaches and the captains. And that's one of the things I'll try to do is to find an angle on who has Irish roots other than J.T. Bertram, and to find out who we can follow and root for as the season continues.
Yeah, JD, of course, is the son of the Blackrock rugby player. Is that right?
Yeah, we talked to him last year, and so haven't had a chance to meet Mr. Bertram, but he's going to be coming up for the games this year, so a chance for us to meet him and to establish that relationship. And as you said, in a year we'll be in Dublin at Aviva Stadium, and a chance for you and the On the Ball crew to have a chance to have maybe a little bit of a homecoming, if you will, for the Bertram family.
Yeah, certainly something to look forward to, and he's at the stage of his academic career where he's likely to be around for that next year. Like, he's not going to be graduating anytime soon.
No, he's a freshman. He's got 4 years of eligibility, and as I said, he is really the future of this program. So I would imagine with the history, the connection to Dublin, and the way that he will hopefully progress this year is that he might get some considerable playing time at that opening game with Navy in 2020.
That'd be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
for a whole load of reasons that have nothing to do with football. For a whole load of reasons that have nothing to do with football, that'd be a great story.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to the start of the football season. It's not the same season or team as it was last year, but a lot of things to look forward to. We look forward to covering it with you, Declan, on the ball. And a little bit of a special next week is that we finally nailed down Eric Hansen, the beat writer of the South Bend Tribune, who is going to join us on the show next week. And he can tell us a little bit about the Fighting Irish from his perspective, but an individual who's been following the Fighting Irish for over 30 years. That's
fantastic, because we've been trying to get a piece with him for, I think, since this feature started, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly, and he always had a birthday or a vacation, and so when I saw him a couple of weeks ago at the opening camp at the Culver Academies, and he said, "Hey, are we ever going to do that show in Dublin? I'm not going on vacation, and my birthday is over." And so I said, "I will contact Declan." Yeah, okay, so we try and secure him for next week. That'd be great. He's already secured. Good stuff. Len, we're going to finish for this week right now, but it's a nice way to get back on the horse, so to speak, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Thank you, Declan. And we don't have too long to wait for the first game, which makes things even better. Exactly. Len Clark there, bringing our Notre Dame feature to a close, and we'll be back again approximately this time next week to talk to him again.